Sup Shredders, my name is Logan aka Spiderhands and welcome to an SP reviews of an album by an act named LandoisLiving titled Montana Magic. And if we switch over to here, we have ourselves the album on the screen on Spotify. Now I have reviewed LandoisLiving before and I do typically enjoy the stuff that they put out. This is going to be all 14 tracks within this album. And I'm looking forward to sort of giving it a go, seeing what we've got. We're going to review it in 2 separate review sessions. It will be part of a whole video, but just if you see me in a different outfit or something like that, it's because I'm reviewing it the next day. So we're listening through the first 7 tracks today, and then the next 7 tracks tomorrow. So we're going to listen through this album from start till finish, and we're going to hear what we think. Let's go. Let's go for a walk.
Hey, what's up? I'm glad you made it. Come for a little walk with me. I have some stuff I want to tell you. Obviously, I've been rapping my ass off for a while, and y'all been hearing it. But I wanted to do something a little bit different this time. Something a little more special to me. I recently went on a trip to Montana with my ex-girlfriend. I had a really good time, but, well, we won't get into that. But basically, I just wanted to check in with y'all and let you know that I was going to do something a little bit different this time around. I really wanted to explore some other genre. Watch your step, watch your step.
Nice little bit of a nice little sense of humor there, you know?
Explore these other genres, but I feel like I've just been pinned down to a few of them, and this is my opportunity to try something a little bit different. We made it. Look at that. Well, I brought you some headphones. Take all the time that you need, and I'll be back to check in on you shortly.
Great. This is a really fantastic start to an album. It's not often that I get someone kind of approach the start like this. You know, we do occasionally have skits at the start of reviews, but I just think the having someone walk you literally to a point where you can just focus on the music and encouraging you playfully to listen through it from start to finish in the order it's at. And just letting you know that if you're already familiar with LandoisLiving stuff, that you need something a little bit different here, you know, that's cool. It's a cool approach to a start track. I would note, not to be a stick in the mud, the vocals sounded a little bit quiet in comparison to the bird sounds, but it sounds like you're surrounded by nature at the same time. It's very soothing and peaceful, so I'm happy with that. We're going to just continue with the last best place, and we will be listening to this in order, don't worry.
I'm in the last best place with my last best aid. I'm in the last best place with my last best eighth. I got 3 grams rolled and some Bud Light at my place. Who gon' slide out to the crib if I tell you to slide today? Who gon' help me smoke this weed if I'm rolling it all today? I caught that mind.
And there's gonna be no filler in these tracks, as per a lot of what I've heard from LandoisLiving. So it's gonna be difficult for me to find places to pause. But instantly with the guitars and the kind of like meta-tuned kind of vocals there, it's gonna be an interesting combination of elements for sure.
Yeah, I caught that Montana magic. Yeah, I caught that Montana magic. Yeah, I caught that Montana magic. Yeah. There's something special about this place, I can't explain it. If I could take a picture big enough, I'd frame it. Some call me to go, but I don't ever claim it. I'm surrounded by these cows and sheep, but I'm still getting famous. I caught that Montana magic. Yeah, I caught that Montana magic. Yeah, I caught that Montana magic. Yeah, I caught that Montana magic. Yeah.
I mean, like, it's a really vivid picture that's being painted not only by the really warm sounds of the strings and everything like that, but the little sort of twinkles, the sparkles in the sky of those little high synths there with a little bit as a sub layer, but it really kind of feels like a magical thing is occurring. And when he talks about his kind of passion and his love for this place that he's gone to and how it inspired him, it just seems very genuine and it's very welcoming.
Ooh, I'm on my business, running back and forth around these hoes like fitness. Ooh, I got a sickness. I've been up so long that I don't know if I could miss this. Ooh, God as my witness. I just need some land and some fresh air and I can fix this. Ooh, it feels like Christmas. Ashes falling down around my blunt, I'm smoking citrus. Yeah, I'm getting higher in Montana. Turn up with the homies, rocking out like we're Santana. Yeah, I'm feeling flyer in Montana. I'm careful with my clothing cause the wind caught my bandana. I caught that Montana magic. Yeah, I caught that Montana magic. Yeah, I caught that Montana magic. Yeah, I caught that Montana magic.
You got like the tropes of a lot of the kind of hip hop stuff, like the hanging with homies and stuff like that, the kind of smoking spliffs and all that kind of stuff. But then we're incorporating it like with the bandana floating in the wind and stuff like that, and like with the cows and the sheeps and stuff like that. It's an interesting combination of elements, the whole country sort of rap aesthetic, but it's working. It's working. Really soothing guitar riff. With occasional clicks there. And I did enjoy the drums when they came as well, but I like the fact that the percussion wasn't like much of a focal point. It was the guitar was the main focus here, and I think that's to try and attempt to include that country sort of like acoustic aesthetic into this. And there is something a little bit magical about that. It's a direction I haven't heard much from this genre, and I'm for it. But yeah, the last best place. Yeah, it sounds like they had a really great time in Montana, and it's cool when people get inspired with stuff and make music about it. To hell with it.
If we're talking about the people I got with me, it's a car full. Talking about the bottles I done drank, then it's a bar full. I used to live a life carefree with fun, but it got harmful. I used to fuck with shawty, then she turned into an armful. To hell with it, I broke her heart, I sent her off, I said farewell with it. You said this music shit so silly, but I'm selling it. I bet you mad that you ain't here, but I ain't stressing it. I bet you sad you found my button, too much pressing it. Now you cut off, I really wanna leave my state so everybody bug off. I swear it's nothing personal, I'm really trying to shove off. I took a trip one time and caught that Montana magic.
I like the clean vocals coming in later on after the rap verses, you know. It sounds like he's been going through a little bit of ruckus, a little bit of drama, but it seems like he managed to escape that with this new place. The 808s and drums here alongside the guitar riffs are welcome. They layer well on top of each other. Is that an electric bass?
I caught that Montana magic. It used to be so simple, it was soda and some Marvel, but nowadays it's alcohol and flowers stuffed in Marlboros. Living every night like we don't know about tomorrow. Living in the moment cause the only time is borrowed.
Living in the moment because the only time is borrowed. That's a hell of a line. There's a bit of wordplay going on in this album so far, and it's necessary, really. And the vocals are such a focal point.
I need some clean air, no plastic, some green fields and pastures, some cows and some ranchers, yeah. Yeah. I'm more of a rancher than these boys are rappers, yeah.
Oh.
I swear to God.
Oh.
To hell with it. I broke her heart, I sent her off, I said farewell with it. You said this music shit so silly, but I'm selling it. I bet you mad that you ain't here, but I ain't stressing it. I bet you sad you found my button, too much pressing it.
So is this track simply about not only talking about a toxic relationship where there was just too much triggering going on, but then also sort of like explaining that they're succeeding and saying, I bet you were here when I was actually, because you said the music was silly, I bet you'd love to see this now, you know? That's an interesting direction. I'm glad that LandoisLiving has found success out on the ranch, you know, on the ranch.
So everybody bug off. I swear it's nothing personal, I'm really trying to shove off. I took a trip one time and caught that Montana magic.
Preferring the album title is a smart move. That Montana magic. I can see me in the pastures making heaters with the cows. Everybody thinks I'm funny, but just come and see me now. I'll be turning up with locals at the only bar in town. My girl said that she loved me, but she really love me now. So what's up with it? She saw my bag, she heard my song, she said I fuck with it. She saw my site, she saw my stream, she said I'm up with it. She liked my drive, she shared my dream, and we're both up for it. Yeah. Wait, I'm confused. So wait, did they get together? Are they together now because he's found success? I'm not quite sure. I'm a little bit confused by this one. Not that that's a detriment, it just means I probably need to listen through it again. But I'm sure that obviously it's worth remembering. If I don't get the song quite right, you're more than welcome to go to the Spotify page and check out the album and listen to it for yourself. And I don't mind being corrected, it's all good. I love the additional lead guitar layers on the sides there. With a really pretty vocal melody here, it's great. When we have like a track like this where it's predominantly rap focused and you have the drums and the bass working with the mid-range guitars, to have that kind of falsetto work with like the little arpeggiated sort of melody parts on the sides, it's just a great juxtaposition there. And it's the track was well structured. I think we had verse, bridges, and choruses, and even though we had a similar bass line the entire time, there was enough change with the instrumental layers and the vocal bits to make it worth the 3 minutes. We got, going through a lot. Track number 4. Slamming through these tracks. Yeah, really articulate stringsmanship.
Let's go. Dead broke, had to wake up on the couch. Ain't no point to go and look at my accounts. I was down bad, but I knew I couldn't pout. Had to go and get some dollars, put some food up in my mouth. I go full speed, I can't.
Yep, great entrance to the 808.
No need for the small talk if it's hopeless. I bleed for my brothers and they know this. My weed always helps me keep my focus. If you fuck with me at all, you better fuck with me forever. I've had way too many hoes that did me dirty, I surrender. I might drink away my feelings, turn my weekend to a bender, till I find me a new girl to kiss my wounds that are so tender.
He varies the rhythm and the speed of his lines depending on the part of the verse or whatever he's at. It's just great for segmenting different portions and keeping it not the same all the time. It's smart stuff. People will tune out if you don't offer variety.
Right back where I started with a bitch that didn't like me. I don't like her either and I know that isn't like me. Yeah, I don't ever hold a grudge, but you got me fucked up if you think I'm gonna budge. And I'm coming in strong. I don't never tell you nothing you don't like unless you're wrong. I don't never hold a grudge, but you got me fucked up if you think I'm gonna budge. And I'm coming in strong. I'll never tell you nothing you don't like unless you're wrong. But I'll say it to your face. I'ma always keep it real with you and put you in your place.
I mean, like, it's a very somber theme behind everything. You know, it sounds like it has been the fact that LandoisLiving has gone through a lot. The really kind of like the guitars aren't particularly upbeat, are they? The melodies they're playing, there's energy to it, but it's not particularly positive or like it's not sound. Doesn't sound like it's trying to cheer you up with the arpeggios or anything like that. And the drums and the bass are simply trying to sort of move along with it. I think that's emotionally and thematically appropriate.
Yeah. Less it's us in outer space. We'll be looking down on everyone and laughing at their place. How the fuck we get up here, baby? I'll leave it all to fate. How the fuck we get so far away when this shit ain't no race?
Great bit of foley there with the engine.
Like I'm bound for outer space. Bitch, I'm saving up my money till I buy my parents' place. Bitch, I'm saving all my stress for all the shit that I've go face. Yeah, I've been going through a lot. Just got out of surgery and right back on the spot. Right back where I started with a bitch that didn't like me. I don't like her either and I know that isn't like me. Yeah, I don't ever hold a grudge, but you got me fucked up if you think I'm gonna budge. And I'm coming in strong. I'll never tell you nothing you don't like unless you're wrong.
Can you hear the little sub layer, extra low lead bits on the left side there? This is why I recommend that when people listen to music, they use headphones, because there's stuff, little nuances in the stereo field that you might miss if you're listening through speakers. It's really pretty.
If you think I'm gonna budge. And I'm coming in strong. I'll never tell you nothing you don't like unless you're wrong.
I'll never tell you. What was that last one? What was that last line? Now just like go back for a little bit.
And I'm coming in strong. I'll never tell you nothing you don't like unless you're wrong.
I never tell you nothing that you don't like unless you're wrong. Unless you're wrong. So basically he's saying that he's going to try and treat them with more respect and only sort of like call them out when there's an actual issue. So it sounds like life's kind of like been quite rough for him and he's finally getting out of it because of his success. And it's at a point now where he's looking back at where he was or down on the earth he used to inhabit after reaching the stars and going, you know, like, how did I even get here? What was this? And it's just basically admitting that it has not been easy for him. I think the theme of the guitars, the bass, drums works well with it. I'm curious to see if we will have more variety with the instrumental layers and the arrangements and compositions moving forward. We do, on an unrelated note, have a collaboration here with LandoisLiving and Don Traps titled Settle In for the Day. So that's cool. I'm actually recognizing some of these names like YV Dean. That's cool.
I'm swimming in the deep end, don't know if I'm gonna make it. I'm looking for the feelings I lost up along the way. I'm drowning in nostalgia, don't know if I can replace it. I'm looking for a place I can settle in for the day. Progress is better than nothing, yeah. Flip that frown upside down, it ain't nothing, man. Turn that whole mood around, it ain't nothing, yeah. Progress is better than nothing, yeah, yeah. 1, 2, then a 3, 4.
Nice filtering of the kit here.
You can't come back. I kick you out that door so you can't look back. What?
I like the dynamic range within this track. I like that things aren't pushing the limiter too hard on the master chain. It's great to allow the music to breathe.
So 1, 2, then a 3, 4. I'm running in my mind, why did you do that? Fuck that shit, I ain't looking back. I'm onto better things, getting brand new. Okay, brand new dreams, brand new green. I'm smoking by the trees, trying to relax. Yeah. Fuck you, fuck him, this is my own plan. A better life to live, I'm just stacking grams. Now I just moved in by the north side, this is where I'm moving. I'm so unseen, like the last Ronin. Take the trap out my name, so I'm dining, yeah. I'm swimming in the deep end, don't know if
I'm assuming that might have been Don Traps. We're a little bit less loyal to aligning our syllables with the beats. There was a little bit more sort of like flexibility. Things weren't entirely in sync, but I don't necessarily mind that. In a way, it helps to differentiate the two. When there's one person that's a little bit more sort of like a little bit less kind of regimented with that, and then the other person is more like, yeah, no, I want the unison because I want the strength of the rhythm moving forward. Helps to set them apart, you know, especially when they use similar effects on their voice and stuff, you know.
I'm looking for a place I can settle in for the day. Progress is better than nothing, yeah. Flip that frown upside down, it ain't nothing, man. Turn that whole mood around, it ain't nothing, yeah. Progress is better than nothing, yeah.
That's true, progress is better than nothing.
I'm looking for some flotation. I'm drowning in my feelings divided by the quotation.
No, this might be Don Traps, actually.
Shuffling through these shorties, just caught up in the rotation. I'm sorry if your girlfriend just showed up at my location. She hopped up on his dick and received it like a donation. She got up out that bed and gave me a standing ovation. I hear that shit so good that her organs need relocation. I bet she getting home and in bed before you can notice. She told you I'm a friend, but you know that that shit is bogus. And the way I'm looking at it, her hate for you is a bonus. And I only fuck your bitch if she told me your dick is hopeless. I ain't like that anymore, cause a female done got my focus. If I could get it.
Damn, we are aiming to seek and destroy, aren't we? Suppose that's the beauty of when like a woman isn't a focus. You can just avoid getting into all sorts of trouble like that, eh?
I'm from everybody in this bitch that done told me I'm accountable for fucking on their bitch. I touch more money than bankers and your hoe would still touch dicks. I ain't really sorry, I blew down your fucking house of sticks. I'm swimming in the
Blowing down a house of sticks is a good line though.
deep end, don't know if I'm gonna make it. I'm looking for the feelings I lost up along the way. I'm
That's a smart insult.
Don't know if I can replace it. I'm looking for a place I can settle in for the day. Progress is better than nothing. Yeah, flip that frown upside down, it ain't nothing, man. Turn that whole mood around, it ain't nothing, yeah. Progress is better than nothing, yeah.
I mean, it's true, progress is better than nothing, to be fair. I mean, like, honestly, the focal point for me was the vocals in this one. The theme at this point, I'm getting used to the sound of the guitars, the bass, and the drums, a few of the sort of vocal layers, and some of the synths that are interspersed throughout. I at this point, I'm appreciating what they're doing with the rapping. It'd be cool just to maybe introduce a new instrument. Something slightly outside of what they've had already. Like, if we wanted to go for the Montana kind of country element, could we not bring in, like, I don't know, man, like a fiddle or some slide guitar or something like that? You know, I'm not the expert on country music. but we talk about Montana and stuff like that and Montana Magic. We could potentially include instruments from music that sort of centers around the whole country thing to kind of build it up a little bit. It's difficult to get all those to work with sort of contemporary hip-hop elements, right? Like Metatune and the 808s aren't. I know they've been around for a while, but you know what I mean. You know what I mean. But it's just my personal thoughts on it. Outside of that, I think that the performances between the vocalists were good. I like the double tracking on Don Trap's stuff. I'm assuming that is the case. I could be wrong. Feel free to let me know if I'm wrong. But, you know, I don't think there was a note out of place. There was some heavy stuff going on there. Probably one of the most savage tracks in the album thus far. And yeah, cool. We got Montana Foreign after this one, though. Really pretty clicky tracks there going on with that last one, though. And Montana Foreign with LandoisLiving and Overdrive continues with the collaborations.
Shawty broke my heart, she ripped that shit out over text. I thought that what we had was something special, but I bet that she ain't never loved me, only love was coming next. And I can't say I miss you, cause I only miss that neck.
To be fair, like that there with that sub bass, kind of the really kind of interesting, that little pad there at the bottom, how full it was, how, you know, that was a new tone I was kind of wanting.
She broke my heart over a text. I used to call her lover, but
And more of
now
a
I
blunt
just call her
808.
ex. I used to run for cover, but now I just like to flex. I'll probably wear a rubber, I really don't want the stress. All these girls are tricking and they're always playing games. Tell me that you love me and I might just go insane. Give me way too much attention and my ego turned to flames. You ain't done me right, so how could I love you the same? Bitch, I can't. No, I can't love you the same. You put all these thoughts and all these demons in my brain. I can't wait to spend $10,000 on a chain just so I can see them diamonds and remind me of my name. Yeah, yeah. Dripping like the Amazon, I always make it rain. I don't like when cameras on cause I don't like the fame. Acting like I'm Tarzan, I go wild for my Jane. I got 28 whole grams and I got PG for my strains. Peninsula
I'm wondering if he could have potentially had a harder entrance to that, like had more of a oomph going into the chorus there, because it was a very smooth transition into the chorus here. It just might have been nice to have had like more of a kind of a little bit of something to kind of ramp it up, you know?
Don't pass a ball to me like Harden and I'm smoking their runs. Cause I ain't never smoking garbage if I'm sparking up gas. You bet I'm smoking on that Mendo. If there's PG in my blunt, you bet I make that bitch extendo. Shawty broke my heart, she ripped that shit out over text. I thought that what we had was something special, but I bet that she ain't never loved me, only love was coming next. And I can't say
Or am I confusing the chorus with the verse and that's why I transitioned into it?
you cause I only miss that neck. Yeah, she broke my heart over a text. I used to call her lover, but now I just call her ex. I used to run for cover, but now I just like to flex. I'll probably wear a rubber, I really don't want the stress. All these girls are tricking and they're always playing games.
This must be
Tell me
the
that you
chorus
love
here,
me,
right?
and I might just go insane. Give me way too much attention and my ego turned to flames. You ain't
'Cause
done me
repeating
right,
the
so how
vocal
could I
lines.
love you the same? The breakup got too messy, reminded me of your head, cause you're
I mean, like to have the 808s and the drums come out like this and just have clicks is smart because it encourages the listener to understand that this is a new part.
sloppy and ending up in my bed. I always end alone and I'm wishing that I was dead. Probably fall into my pockets and manifest all this bread. The breakup got me tripping and reminiscing on memories. You left me over text when I thought you were still a friend of me.
What's happening? Hey! Yay! That was surprising. I loved that. That was so unexpected. I was thinking we were going to have that same motif continue for the 4.5 minutes, but we didn't. It filtered and went whomp, and then came in with the overdrive part. Great. This is probably a highlight of the album for me. I like this change. What's happened? Have we made a goof? Yeah, I think what might have happened there is that when you're bouncing a track, for people who aren't familiar with music production, you basically can choose the amount of time that you have in the timeline, which is where everything you are making is. The timeline goes from like 0 seconds to 4:30, and the song's usually in that amount of time. But I think the song actually ended at that 3-minute mark, and what happens is they might have not cut it, or they might have accidentally chosen the option to export the entire project as well as something which will be the default amount of time that the session usually goes for. That's rough, man. Because it was so cool how it ended, man. Kind of wondering if it was a deliberate thing to have things paused for that amount of thing. But like Montana Foreign, I think it just sounded so awful near the end. Not because I thought it was a bad song, but because really, you just have this situation where the song put me inside my grave and it just goes quiet, as if the person's returned there. They obviously clearly struggled with the breakup and everything like that, and that depression really overwhelmed them. No wonder they needed to get out and get some fresh air, man. Like, relationships are brutal, and I think the melancholy, or at least the bittersweet nature of the riff there's a bit of hope, but I don't know if that hope was going to be fulfilled. It was an interesting song for sure. But anyways, good work from Overdrive. That change there at that last little bit was phenomenal there. I didn't see that coming. I'm so happy it occurred. It's really coming down with the rain.
How you guys doing so far? Are you handling the music alright? I know I told you I wouldn't be rapping my ass off like I normally am, but you feeling it? You messing with it? Either way, I'm having fun making it and I'm enjoying it, so I hope y'all are too, but if not, really at the end of the day, I do this shit for me, so it's really coming down out there. You seeing all this rain? Where'd this shit come from? Did you listen to the tracks in order like I told you to, or
I did.
you've been messing around? You can give it to me straight, for real. I can take it.
I did listen through them straight. The evidence is in the video.
Alright, well, we still got some more music to listen to, so I hope you enjoy it, and I'm gonna let you get back to it.
That's lovely. No, I'm really happy with this album so far. I think we started really strongly with the introduction of being walked in the woods there and being asked to listen to the music from start till finish. Like he was there with you, kind of guiding it through. That's such a really personal, kind of like special thing. Because often musicians will just kind of throw stuff at you and be like, I don't, listen. But for LandoisLiving, he was just like, yo, can you just check this out? And I think when you, in this single-based music industry, this economy we have, where like a lot of the focus is on individual tracks, to get someone to listen to the entire thing, you really need them to sit down and just absorb it actively. You can't do this passively. Do it passively, people won't be paying attention in the way they need to truly appreciate the work you put in. And that's just the fact, you know. People can't focus on more than one. Multitasking is a myth. It doesn't work, okay? At least not with things like this. So, great album. I'm going to talk about more of it in the conclusion end of the video, but I'm really stoked so far. And I'll catch you in the next part of the video. See you tomorrow. So, welcome back to the second half. Basically, Spotify went through a bit of an update overnight, so you'll find that it looks a little bit different today. That's just simply because it's looking a lot more neat. Actually, I prefer this color scheme. A lot of black there with the typical kind of fade of the color scheme of the album, etc. But look, we're going to continue. We're going to continue with this album today, reviewing tracks 8 through 14 after doing 1 to 7 yesterday. You, of course, will have that in the entirety of the same video, so that's fine. But we're starting with You. So let's go. Number 8. Okay. Catchy chord progression.
She said
she need a friend, I said, baby, I'm right here. She said she need a shoulder, I said, I got 2 here. She said, I got some problems, like, baby, I'm all ears. She said, we need some time, like, little baby, we got years. Tell me anything and everything that's bothering you. Tell me anything and everything that you wanna do. Tell me anything and everything you're comfortable with. Tell me anyone and everyone you ain't fucking with.
It's nice to return back to LandoisLiving stuff. You get a nice balance again of the vocal style that he has there. Maybe a little bit of modulation on it, a bit of beatitude kind of stuff. But you've also got the guitarist we had instantiated earlier on the album, as well as a really clean bass and drum mixing.
When I'm looking at you, you can't name a single thing that I wouldn't go do. If it meant the single difference of me ending with you, I would go there just to be there with you.
Oh, twangy kind of bends in the background on those guitars.
You told me that you love me, I told you I loved you too. You broke my heart in half and I don't know what I'ma do.
Nice work switching to the clicks as well. I'll try not to pause too much, but it's cool stuff.
I didn't wanna go shoot, you got me climbing all your ladders and falling down all your chutes. I wouldn't go through all this bullshit for anyone except for you, and that's the truth. Yeah, you're too damn cute. Walking out the bedroom in some brand new boots. That's you, that's you, that's you. The type of girl to make a boy go mute. Yeah, she said she need a friend, I said, baby, I'm right here. She said she need a shoulder, I said, I got 2 here. She said, I got some problems, like, baby, I'm all ears. She said, we need some time, like, little baby, we got years. Tell me anything and everything that's bothering you. Tell me anything and everything that you wanna do. Tell me anything and everything you're comfortable with. Tell me anyone and everyone you ain't fucking with.
And like, we're very comfortable with repeating these vocal lines. You know what I mean? We're very comfortable with repeating these vocal lines. And I think on the same token, we're clearly very comfortable with having the same chord progression, just with changes between that, the clicky kind of percussion as opposed to kind of a trappy kind of snare on that beat there. But it all revolves around him talking about how he just wants to get to know more about the person, to establish a connection with them, to get close and personal, and to have that sense of clarity with them, you know?
I'm looking at you, you can't name a single thing that I wouldn't go do. If it meant the single difference of me ending with you, I would go there just to be there with you. You told me that you love me, I told you I loved you too. You broke my heart in half and I don't know what I'ma do. She said she need a friend, I said, baby, that ain't me. Cause I love you like my family and not like my homies. Come on, tell me all your problems, we'll roll up and smoke weed. I can give you what you want, I can give you just what you need, yeah. I can give you what you want, I can give you just what you need, yeah. I can give you what you want and I give you just what you need, yeah.
Not really sure if I'm a massive fan of the kind of the glitchy kind of frazzled wah kind of stuff going on when we're trying to do those legato vocal runs. I don't know if it necessarily helps the experience. It sounds kind of robotic, and when we've got these kind of countryish kind of infusions, it takes me out of that a little bit. Personally, I feel as if it's just a little bit strange. You know, it doesn't seem like something I can join the dots with, but I can appreciate the melody we're trying to sing. That makes sense. And it does really sound like we care about this person, and that break there, that breakup or that separation is they're struggling with it, you know?
Tell me anything and everything that's bothering you. Tell me anything and everything that you wanna do. Tell me anything and everything you're comfortable with. Tell me anyone and everyone you ain't fucking with. My heart go thump, thump, thump when I'm looking at you. You can't name a single thing that I wouldn't go do. If it meant the single difference of me ending with you.
You know? And we're gonna like take a catchy hook line, right? On top of these rather neutral sounding chord progressions. There was dynamic range to this recording as well, which I appreciate. Everything wasn't the same loudness. Things came down and up. It helped with the continuity and repeating of various points and not really adjusting the way we play the instruments or layer them too much. We got Country Today, track 9, with LandoisLiving and Flint Child.
She want a country boy, I ain't no country boy. I give her everything between, I give her comfort, boy. I keep on stacking up these country boy, except today I might just go country for a day, riding four-wheelers and dirt bikes through the countryside today. I might spark another blunt and crack a Bud Light by the lake. Yeah, I'm going country today. Yeah.
I mean, we're going country today. We're clearly rocking our sort of hip-hop rap infusions with a really heavy metatune or stuff going on with the vocals and a really prominent 808. But at the same time, I can appreciate some of the... We're trying to establish kind of connection with different styles.
She make me country today, yeah, yeah. I'm going country today, yeah, yeah. She got me country today, yeah, yeah. She got
It's a
me
cute
country
track.
today, yeah, yeah. She take me back to my roots. She got me country for a day to put some mud on my boots. Can't be too careful with my shawty. She got multiple moods, and she the type that ain't gon' fuck around with multiple dudes. We're in a big truck, Bud Light. That girl's my type. Big bucks, bar fight. That girl's just right, yeah.
I think it would have been more genuine and authentic if we hadn't had the auto-tune on those warbly bits. I think we could have taken that effect away. I understand we might, on one hand, we might really appreciate that effect, but on the other hand, I don't think it works well with some of the more acoustic elements. The textures rush a long way, and it becomes less about the voice and more about the sound, if that makes sense. It distracts from the message.
She want a country boy, I ain't no country boy. I give her everything between that, give her comfort, boy. I keep on stacking up these bills, it brings her comfort, boy. I can be anything you want except a country boy. Except today, I might just go country for a day, riding four-wheelers and dirt bikes through the countryside today. I might spark another blunt and crack a Bud Light by the lake. Yeah, I'm going country today, yeah, yeah. She make me country today, yeah, yeah. I'm going country today, yeah, yeah. She got me country today, yeah, yeah. She got me country today, yeah,
Flannel on my back, red wings
Always
on my
louder.
feet. Baby girl wanna ride, tell her hop up in my Jeep. Got her rolling up my weed as we cruise down the street. Yeah, yeah. I'll be a country boy, I'll be a country boy. I gotta say it, come on over here and touch me, boy. You know how we do it, I had to fuck a boy. Said she wanna be my lady, I said fuck that noise. Only today, I can be a man, I can give you your way. Don't want a city boy, well I'm country today. Taking off her clothes while she walking away. Yeah.
So basically, is this about making an exception? She wants one type of person, and they're not that kind of person, but they're willing to do whatever they need to in order to get with that person because she doesn't fuck with other dudes, and she seems like someone who's really loyal and worth that adjustment. Is that kind of the track? Is that what we're talking about within this track?
country boy, I ain't no country boy. I give her everything between that, give her
I'm going to be honest, I'll talk about it at the end, but I wasn't super stoked with that verse.
Anything you want except a country boy. Except today, I might just go country for a day, riding four-wheelers and dirt bikes through the countryside today. I might spark another blunt and crack a Bud Light by the lake. Yeah, I'm going country today, yeah, yeah. She make me country today, yeah, yeah. I'm going country today, yeah, yeah. She got me country today, yeah, yeah. She got me country today, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I'm going to talk about that verse that we had, that last verse. I think it was from Flint Child. Really pretty guitar motif, and I like the accompaniment in general. The issue that I had was that Flint Child sounded a little bit louder than LandoisLiving did in the chorus, and when you've got a quieter section happening in that verse where there's no drums or anything like that, you can probably have the vocals a little bit more relaxed. If you have it too aggressive when the new person comes in, it's enough that you have a different vocal texture. You don't necessarily need to then go and then to just kind of have the volume kind of boosted a little bit higher than what is perceived there. And I think part of that was the double tracking. We had like more than one vocal take at the same time. Maybe there was like a different effect going on there. But Flint Child's part from a mixing perspective had more presence than I would have necessarily been happy with when he came in. It's more of a like a studio thing. His verse was fine, and he said what he wanted to say, and it was good. And I'm glad that he had a feature in this. At the same time, I don't know if it was necessarily new information or a different direction than what we would have had before with Lando's part. Maybe it was Flint Child with his kind of thoughts about making that one-time exception to not be a country boy. But it's like, I don't know, like, I'm not sure if it was as meaningful as it could have been. But of course, if that's what Flint Child wanted to communicate in the song, that's absolutely fine. But yeah, it's definitely, when there was a double tracking there of the vocals, it was a little bit too loud. Aside from that, though, like, most of the accompaniments we had behind these tracks have been great. It's not an issue of, like, you know, like the motifs don't work. With LandoisLiving stuff, 99 times out of 100, the backing is phenomenal. It just works well within the genre, the style they're doing. And I do like the guitar idea is another little bit to have had within this track. There is some cool stuff going on. If anything, it's just some of the vocal parts. But we'll continue with Big Vibes. Track number 10.
Certain places you're gonna go in life where you're gonna feel things that you just can't quite explain. That's alright. Everybody processes things differently. You just gotta be there. You just gotta embrace the energy, embrace where you're at, embrace the right now. Because that's really all we have in life. And sometimes the best way to explain it is just like this.
I mean, it's cool to have a little bit of a talk at the start. Something to kind of introduce the track at a lower volume there to bring it into a verse part. Because it gets the listener listening really closely there, especially with their really kind of intimate, that really intimate little guitar bit in the background. It's a great entrance.
I caught a vibe, baby. Yeah, this a vibe, baby. Big time, yeah. I caught a vibe, baby. Yeah, this a vibe, baby. Big vibes, yeah. I caught a vibe, baby. Yeah, this a vibe, baby. Big time, yeah. I've seen some real bright skies. I get way too damn high. I've heard so many lies.
See, that was pretty. That lies part where we had less of a noticeable, perceivable effect on it. That was great. It sounded like him singing that. It sounded real. You know, I think there needs to be an allowance for, if there's something that's especially heartfelt, you just need to have that without the extra kind of like layering on top, in my humble opinion. It's colorful enough without you needing. Yeah.
I don't care to change your mind, because I'm steady on my hits and I've been keeping on my grind. Just because you couldn't see it doesn't mean I ain't that guy. And my next one gonna be thankful that you gave up on my side. I caught a vibe, baby. Yeah, this a vibe, baby. Big vibes, yeah. I caught a vibe, baby. Yeah, this a vibe, baby. Big time, yeah. I caught a vibe, baby. Yeah, this a vibe, baby. Big vibes, yeah. I caught a vibe, baby. Yeah, this a vibe, baby. Big time, yeah.
Yeah, another really smooth entrance to the hook. I'm still not entirely stoked with the minimal amount of adjustment we have going into these hooks. I think they could still be bigger sounding, but then, of course, they are taking away like the lower elements when they go into the verse each time, so it sounds louder by default, like quieter by default, if that makes sense. Moving that aside, I do like the way the vocals are done in the song, and I think the story sounds really wholesome. So the tune is good. See, yeah, they're filtering out again.
Real bright skies. I get way too damn high. I've heard so many lies.
Okay, so there are still effects on it, but like what I mean is just maybe just like a minimal amount of vibrato if possible, you know?
I've heard too many times. Baby, yeah, this a vibe, baby. Big vibes, yeah. I caught a vibe, baby. Yeah, this a vibe, baby. Big time, yeah. Oh. I caught a vibe. Say it with me real quick. What we do? Yeah. 3, 2, 1. We caught a vibe. Yeah.
Good. we changed the chord progression at the end. This is something I was going to say for the outro. I would say for what LandoisLiving does in future, I would thoroughly recommend having more than one main chord progression per track. I can understand that it is easier to layer stuff on top of a consistent bass line or a chord progression when you're writing music and composing, especially when you've got this level of sort of studio production going on, the various vocal parts and such. But I think there is room for you to have different parts for like the verse and the hook. It may seem superfluous, but it will help you because it will just make the song more interesting. It's satisfying when you come across new sort of like sounds and tones and you don't just have the same thing for 3 minutes. It can often be less work you have to do on the vocals and the studio production with filtering and automation and stuff if you do that. But that's just my 2 cents. It's just nice. If we can play guitar that well, why not explore the fretboard and try other stuff? You know what I mean? But yeah, that was Big Vibes. This is Drop Dead Gorgeous by LandoisLiving and YV Dean.
Her eyes got me dropped it on the first day. She the type of girl to make you celebrate the first base. The type of girl to make you act up on a Thursday. The type of girl I keep on asking for my birthday. She bad, she dropped that gorgeous in this bitch, yeah. If she call, I bet I floor it to the bitch, yeah. I'm locked in, it's like a fortress in this bitch, yeah. The beat drop, check out my chorus on this bitch, yeah. Locked in, big body for the whip, yeah. Boxed in and we barely fit it in, yeah. Locked in and she tryna get it in, yeah. Locked in, so we barely getting lit, yeah.
I mean, I like the filtered percussion that they have alongside the picked kind of guitar chord, broken chord arpeggios things they're doing here. And the repetition of the vocal melodies, dun 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 dun, kind of describing the situation that he's got with this girl. It's fine, it works well.
Clocked in, so I'm always getting work done. I keep that money on me in case there's something I might splurge on. I'm staying in my lane and this ain't one that you can merge on.
Bass adds extra context in that low end. But more movement.
Money, I won't have to work again. I just do this for myself and I just do this for my friends. Just to show them I ain't perfect, but I'm trying to make amends. Just to show them I ain't clocked in for no motherfucking Benz. Clocked in, I've been barely getting lit, yeah. Popped in, rubber band around that shit, yeah. What it do, what they say, what it do, what it do, what they say, yeah. Her eyes got me dropped it on the first day. She the type of girl to make you celebrate the first base. The type of girl to make you act up on a Thursday. The type of girl I keep on asking for my birthday. She bad, she dropped that gorgeous in this bitch, yeah. If she call, I bet I floor it to the bitch, yeah. I'm locked in, it's like a fortress in this bitch, yeah. The beat drop, check out my chorus on this bitch, yeah.
Like, you could have potentially put layered vocals on top of the second one, on top of the second hook to kind of, you could like some higher melodies or something like that, just to kind of make it seem like we're getting through the song and that you understand that the listener might appreciate the initial concept but needs more as we go along. I know I might be being pedantic, but it's simply because I understand that we are competent at making music now. And I feel as if, especially with how compositionally complex country itself can be. And it's not like we aren't aware of how to play some really interesting guitar chords, because there are some wonderful extensions. Like, I've heard some sevenths or ninths or suspended chords on those guitar harmonies there. We even had some interesting sort of lead stuff with cute little bends and slides and stuff. It's been great. I would like further development of layers alongside the chorus as we go along.
Locked in, big body for the whip, yeah. Boxed in and we barely fit it in, yeah. Locked in and she tryna get it in, yeah. Locked in, so we barely getting lit, yeah. We just party, love the fun, girls crazy.
Yeah, YV Dean is also a little bit louder.
The gas we smoking on, celebrate the times we ain't never gonna get back. Look into my eyes, say it really isn't like that.
Just before, while I'm semi-apologetic for interrupting. Yeah, he's noticeably louder in the mix. Something you can do, and this is something, again, I'm not trying to tell LandoisLiving how to do their job. It's more that, like, if we aren't already doing it, if we are not currently mixing in mono when we do this stuff, I would thoroughly recommend doing so. Because when you mix into mono, it can help you really sort of like adjust and quantify the different vocal levels. And like, you can get the level of a LandoisLiving part and put the YV Dean underneath it and compare the two in mono. And you're literally going to just get a comparison there of the perceived loudnesses. And I think doing that in future for future records will help, because that it works as well for when you've got double tracking, but like unless it's like wide pan. But do you know what I mean? It's just, if it had been a little bit less, a little bit quieter, that entrance into YV Dean's part would have been smooth.
To me, yeah, you see right through me. Why use me, kick me while I'm losing? I'm choosing a better way to settle this. Listen to my words, yeah, I know you gon' remember it. Her eyes had me drop dead, blacked out and blocking out my friends. Can't tell them we're together now, they never did support us. Girl, you so fine, yeah, you drop dead gorgeous.
Her eyes got me dropped it on the first day.
Yeah, no, perceivably quieter.
Celebrate the first base. The type of girl to make you act up on a Thursday.
It's such a shame,
Keep on asking for my birthday.
because I can tell how important this album is to LandoisLiving.
I bet I floor it to the dish, yeah. I'm locked in, it's like a fortress in this bitch, yeah. The beat drop, check out my chorus on this bitch, yeah. Locked in, big body for the whip, yeah. Boxed in and we barely fit it in, yeah.
Because this part sounds
Locked in and she
fantastic.
tryna get it in, yeah. Locked in, so we barely getting lit, yeah.
Yeah, everything apart from YV Dean's part was fantastic. It's just the loudness there. That's it, really. That's the only one main complaint I have, is that some of the collaboration parts, the vocals are too loud in the mix. That said, I think the idea of someone, because at the start, LandoisLiving discussed the album being chronological, right? Listening to it from start till finish, like it's a journey, which I enjoy. I've spoken about this with previous album reviews. It is very satisfying when you go from the start to the end of it and a journey. And you might be like, well, if I make an album where if I make an album where it's about my journeys and experiences, that's enough connection, right? No, because anyone can make an album about themselves. It's about having the concept that you're talking about, like Montana Magic, in the album art, be a story about that, and that justifies an album. And I think here with Big Vibes, I think we caught a vibe from this girl in the previous track, and now we're with that person, and that she just catches us off guard. We're just like intoxicated with them, you know. I think the really pretty guitar parts exemplify that incredibly well. The accompaniment fits. We have right now, though, track number 12. Yep, variation of the phrasing here. We do have this pattern of da 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 and then da 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 in the second half. We like to start at a set pace and then speed it up, and it's a really easy way of establishing variety in a verse. I think it's cool. The Where You At part, so is this following on from Drop Dead Gorgeous, talking about how he's finding these pretty girls and he's trying not to get himself into a tricky situation with his existing girlfriend? we're adept at making these really catchy, memorable vocal lines.
Girl, I need you here right now. I've been dealing with a lot and I don't think I'll make it out. I've been drowning in my sorrows and I'm sifting through my doubt. But I won't never tell you that cause I don't really like to pout, yeah.
There would be power in having the guitar stop for a minute. Like, to just stop. And this is something I've gotten in trouble with previous albums. So let me explain in a very succinct and elegant way. When you have a guitar riff the entire time, people get used to it. When you remove it, it takes people out of the lull of the track. Now you might be thinking, well, hang on, I want people to stay listening the entire time. That encourages people to listen because they are like, oh, wait, what's happened? They try and recalibrate and figure out what's going on. And then boom. You can bring it back in or introduce another way of voicing that same guitar motif. Do you know what I mean? There just would have been some power in having pauses occasionally with that. Kind of like a middle eight or something like that. I mean, I still think that would have been better if that had been clean. Like they're crying out for their girlfriend, you know what I mean? They could have even have had a fade out at the end just to kind of have it kind of like go out in a nice kind of old schooly, old timey kind of classy way. You could hear though, even with the tuning and stuff on it, that and don't get me wrong, like I know that there's artists like Post Malone and stuff like that that use auto-tune, and they do sound very emotionally authentic. There's just additional utility you can get out of removing that effect altogether, especially when a lot of the song and album has already had it, and just having those really raw lines be raw. I wonder how this album is going to end. It makes me wonder. Over a text.
Yeah. You crazy. After all that we had, you left me over a text. And after all of the sad, I'm picking up where I left off. We used to hit each other so much, it's like a text off. But now I'm getting pissed when I think of you, I ain't slept off. All this shit you did me wrong and lies you fed me daily. Took my time and had my patience, I learned my lesson with Bailey. And the time before that, I got my heart fucked up by Haley. And time after time, I watch my heart question its safety like fuck. I'm always out of luck. Plenty other fishes, but I still be feeling stuck. And if I had a dime for every shorty I'd fucked, I wouldn't be rich, but I would have a couple bucks. Love is commitment, always consistent.
I wouldn't be rich, but I'd have a couple of bucks. Damn, dude. Yeah, the wordplay is strong here. I like the fact that we're just keeping a consistency with the rhythm here. It's more straightforward rapping. There's frustration here of being left over a text. And that offbeat groove of the guitar strums alongside with the chord note accents just keeps things going forward.
Never give up, you don't know what you're missing. Let's talk through our problems so we can just fix this. Sometimes I wonder
Is that a ukulele?
Sometimes I wonder if I could have fixed this. Sometimes I wonder why you ran and hit this, yeah. Like why did you do me like that? Like fuck, I'm always out of luck. Like fuck, yeah, I'm always out of luck. Like fuck, I ain't never had no luck. I'm always out of luck. Like fuck, I'm always out of luck. I ain't got no luck, baby. How I'm out of luck? Like name after name on this bitch like it's therapy. Thoughts going off in my head and they're scaring me. I got more names,
Great
but
use
I
of
know
triplet
I'm
flow
scared
here,
of
man.
me. I'm
It's
always
fantastic.
honest, but that just ain't fair to me. Fuck. All you stupid hoes suck. Fell in love with Sophie cause she knew just how to fuck. Then I fell in love with Jay because she's filling on my cup. Getting fucked up till I fall down.
So this is basically like confusing lust with love, isn't it? Yeah?
These girls still got me fucked up till I fall down. Like fuck, I'm always out of luck. Like fuck, yeah, I'm always out of luck. Like fuck, I ain't never had no luck. I'm always out of luck. like fuck. I'm always out of luck. I ain't got no luck, baby. How I'm out of luck, like.
It just sounds like this guy's going for a real rough time. I wonder how old he is. Because, like, I'm in my early 30s now, right? And I think I could relate to how he was feeling when I was younger. It sucks when you feel disposable, but I'm glad that this guy, over the course of this album, is trying to find self-worth. You know? But it's okay to feel pain at the same time. And that vulnerability, it's important to express it. Because that's part of makes you human. You're not a robot. And yeah, awesome. That's great. I'm really happy with that song though. I think that it's probably one of the strongest off the album because it not only he opened up a lot and was talking about himself and like acknowledging some mistakes that occurred with it and just you know, the guitar line was relatively the theme behind it with the ukuleles, I don't know if it was necessarily reflective of it. The whistles, kind of like just another day, that kind of there's a bit of sadness to it. I suppose the ukulele sounded overly cheery for something we were very unhappy about. But the minor chords and it almost sounded melancholic with the culmination of the different things, if that makes any sense at all. It weirdly worked out. No, good track though. Nice and short to the point. I can understand why it's got 4,500 plays. I hope it gets more. But we've got Peace and Tranquility. Last of the album, then Conclusion. I was expecting us to be talking at the end. But I suppose, in a way, often when someone starts an album, they're like, enjoy the thingy, whatever, they talk about it, and at the end they say thank you for listening to it. I kind of like the approach of not having him thank us for listening to it, etc. I just like the fact he's leaving us to just sit with all that we've had so far and just kind of process it. I think that's really smart. Because this is the conclusion of my review of this album, Montana Magic by LandoisLiving. What do I think this track is about? I think that or rather, what do I think this album is about, should I say? This album, to me, is basically more than just LandoisLiving appreciating Montana. It's about his journey dealing with, like, the beauty of the place he's in, a different environment for him where he's having to sort of, like, adjust to the way it is with the cows and the sheep and stuff like that, the different types of people. He's maybe leaving the dramas behind where he was going, etc., you know. He's leaving the dramas behind maybe that he used to deal with. He's been going through a lot, so there's some sort of healing involved. Settling in for the day, you know, like trying to like calm down with things and just kind of like take a break and kind of like do some self-preservation stuff. You know, it's really coming down though is when there's rain. There is some drama, some tension that occurs, you know, where in we're talking about how much that person means to us. And then, you know, Country Day Big Vibes, we're starting to sort of like look at like the people around us, how we're interacting and stuff like that. Drop Dead Gorgeous, we're obviously enamored with someone, but right now is when we go, okay, this is getting complicated. There's a lot of temptation around the place. I'm having to look at the existing situation I've got with my girlfriend, and whether or not this is working or not, and whether being loyal like this is really effective. Or alternatively, maybe we took the direction that we gave in the temptation. Because there's two ways I can take over a text. One, that the girl, that friend we had, broke up with us over text, and we felt as if it was the same as all the serious situations. Or we gave up our relationship for a girl that we met, which I was talking about, where is my girlfriend right now? I need my girlfriend because I am struggling to cope with the temptation. We gave into that, and then over a text was just like, oh, that girl that we hooked up with cheated on me, and now I'm all alone and I fucked everything up. That's basically what I think this album is about. I could be wrong, but that's my best take after listening through it. It's complicated. You know, being human is difficult. I think that there is a beauty in what he's discussing. He's clearly fond of Montana and describes it really well. It sounds wholesome, and I like the fact that we had country-ish infusions within this album. I also think that it makes sense to harken back to a lot of the stuff we've talked about, like money and women and, you know, having bags and stuff like that, and smoking, you know, blunts and stuff like that, and just, you know, hanging with people and just working at it and trying to find some modicum of success. I think that there's stuff from previous LandoisLiving albums that I enjoy here, you know, such as this self-titled, but also stuff from this one that I kind of enjoy as much, if not more, and there's a nice fusion of those two those different things. The vocal performances from LandoisLiving and Associates were mostly good. Obviously, I'm not super duper happy with a few of the audio levels of the vocals within the mix, but I've already spoken about that, so I won't dwell on it here. The rapping is great, nice phrasing, words come through clearly, flow is solid, good wordplay, no complaints, variation of rhythms across the different sections. I think we could have removed, as I mentioned, removed some of the metatune or whatever's going on with the vocal modulation occasionally for the more sort of like raw, sincere parts, just to really make them more human. Because I do kind of like when I heard him talking in Let's Go for a Walk, and it's really coming down. It was nice to hear him talk, you know, and I'm not saying that didn't happen in other tracks, like at the start of other ones, but like it was just nice to hear him instead of the style he's going for, if that makes sense. It's nice to have that rawness there, you know. I've said raw a lot, but that grit, if that makes sense. Just him without the filter. Although, to be fair with the stories, we actually had an insight into who LandoisLiving, so that was obviously valid and worth mentioning as well. But I think ultimately, with this album, Montana Magic, the vocals were on point. I think that Don Traps did well with his part. Flint Child and YV Dean did great with their parts as well, even if they're a bit too present. I didn't necessarily like the effect on Flint Child's voice, but I'm assuming that's the one they prefer, so that's absolutely fine. Their verses were fine. I don't think I necessarily got a huge sort of understanding of who they were for the most part, because I suppose I'd have to listen to their own material to really get a sort of more of an interest in them. And it's kind of the point of having collaborations, is that you kind of want to just like, you want to be enticed to listen to them. So in effect, I think that's great, but more than anything, Overdrive is what got me. When Overdrive's part came in at the end of Montana Foreign, that blew me away. Because things just went down, and as they came up, and I was genuinely surprised by that, because as I think I mentioned in this half of the review, there's not a lot of variation in the way the instruments are played within this. We have core chord progressions and bass motifs there with drum parts. They kind of vary with the tone of them more than the actual grooves. Like, we don't have drum fills or anything like that, stuff like that. It's mostly if we want to change the way the drums sound, we don't change the chops necessarily. We obviously we have less and more, but it's not huge unpredictable shifts. You can kind of expect what's going to happen because it's constant across the album. Just when Overdrive came in and things just kind of faded out, and it came in powerful. Obviously, we had another minute of the track which had nothing in it, but that was just a bouncing thing. My Overdrive's part was my favorite. Montana Foreign was my favorite song off of this album, because of that reason alone, I think. Just because it was so interesting to listen to, and it seemed bigger than... That's what makes a great song, is that little bit of sparkle. Over a Text was good too, though. The tracks typically were between like 1 and 3 minutes. 1 to 1.5 for like the talky bits, as well as Peace and Tranquility, which was instrumental, where you just had a bit of peace and quiet to think everything over. I liked the drum parts, despite maybe a lack of as much variety rhythmically as I prefer. I enjoyed the sound of the drums. The samples used were good. They were nice and clear in the mix. The eighth note kind of grooves there with very occasional 16ths and predominant quarter note grooves there were welcome. And I think that it was easy to follow along with them and they helped the song well. The bass lines were typically 808s, if not some other bass synths or something, so they were good too. The guitars are tremendous. There was a lot of range there in regards to the individual motifs. So there was not a song that sounded the same in regards to the way the guitar was played. And I honestly wonder whether it wouldn't be worth releasing a few of these without the bass and drum parts. Just have the vocals and the guitar. Because the guitars were interesting and unique enough on their own without needing that extra sort of help along the way. But it's obviously up to LandoisLiving at the end of the day. It's just, I appreciated those. You know, I appreciated some of the cool little, almost sort of lo-fi-ish country kind of concepts that we indicated here. Clearly we can play the guitar. Whoever did those is fantastic. But really stoked with those choices there. They made the tracks incredibly interesting. Not least because I'm familiar with LandoisLiving stuff at this point, and with this album, I really needed something extra in accordance to what I had before. You can't just have the same source twice. You can't have the same mix twice. You need to have each album have a different concept, and I think that in the instrumentation alone, because of the infusions of those guitars and other bits, we nailed it. You know, we had traditional sort of like verse chorus settings there. We didn't have a lot outside of that apart from, again, overdrive and the sort of like the shorter songs where it was more of a talky part with like rain songs of birds and stuff like that. The tracks were good aside from some of the stuff I've talked about where like there's just like mixing levels that I'm trying not to talk about too much because that's more studio production anyways. But the album itself was great. The tracks made sense, the themes made sense, but the tracks, if there was like a more kind of upbeat song, typically there's more energy and charisma behind it. There wasn't too much really sad stuff because I don't think we tried not to make these beats too aggressive or downbeat, which I respect. I mean, I think you can turn listeners off if it's too much, especially if they're not used to that much kind of like intensity there. So that's cool. I get it. It's part of the style. Good album with the flow of it. I can understand why it's chronological. Nice. I hope that LandoisLiving manages to heal from what they've had to experience. And I think finally the recording, mixing and mastering, the studio production, aside from, again, final time I mentioned this, some occasional vocal leveling issues, the mix in general was great. Like when it was just LandoisLiving by themselves, they sounded cool. It was totally fine. The vocals, the guitars, the bass, the drums and everything like that were leveled well in the mix. Nice and wide in the stereo field, no weird frequencies no weird resonant frequencies in the frequency spectrum. It was nicely compressed. There was dynamic range. I would have still enjoyed a bit more oomph, as I've mentioned before, some of the choruses there, like a little bit of a pause beforehand. There would have been times when maybe with the arrangement perspective we could occasionally take the guitars out just to have a bit of space. Ultimately though, it was nice and loud without pumping, and I am very happy to have been able to review this track in full and hear more of LandoisLiving's work. This is a step in the right direction in my opinion, and this is my review of this album, Montana Magic by LandoisLiving. Hopefully you enjoyed it. If you did, please do go show me some love via the various social medias and the Spotify page, and stay cool, stay safe, and please remember to support your local musicians and artists at this point in time, as they need the help more than ever with all the crazy stuff going on in the world, and I'll catch you in the next review. Spiderhands out.